A very good evening to everyone who's joining us today, Friday, the 26th at 6 p.m. East African time. And I am excited to be your moderator and host. And we've got a very diverse panelists this evening. I'm excited to introduce all of them to you. And without further ado, because I see we're already getting a lot of people online, over 41, 42, 43, 44. Okay, the numbers keep going up. A lot of participants. I'm excited to see you all. And here are the introductions. I'm going to introduce everyone one by one. And when I do introduce you, please just give a simple wave to the audience, and then we can kick off our Friday evening. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce our CEO at CPS Africa, Sebastian Dietzold. Glad to have you on board. Next, we have the Chief Information Officer at CPS Africa, Tobias Dietzold. Quick wave. Thank you, Karibu sana, Tobias. And the first of two doctors that we have in this webinar. Very excited. We've got a lot of doctors tonight. We've got Dr. Doris Ishenda, who is our homeowners liaison and community manager at TOC. Karibu, Doris. And our second doctor for the evening, Dr. Jenny Dietzold, who is the founder and CEO at Urban Care Clinic. Karibu sana, doctor. And yes, we've got Curtis Lockhart, who is the executive director at African Urban Labs, joining us live from Nairobi. Karibu sana, Curtis. Good to have you on board. And definitely last but not least, we've got Franco Gosse, who is the founder and CEO at Permaculture Development Company, or is it Permaculture Design Company, who is responsible for guiding all the team that is building the greenery within Fumba Town, within our projects on the East Coast, and also many other projects on the island. Karibu sana, Franco.
Good evening.
Good evening. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's kick off this lovely webinar. We're going to have 3 presentations. We're going to have a lot of discussion talking about 10 years of urban development. It's been a very interesting journey that CPS and Fumba Town has had, from almost literally nothing to a whole town and full of 70 plus nationalities, a very vibrant community. And we did celebrate 10 years about 3 weeks ago. And we're all very proud of it, but we want to talk more about the journey, what it took to get to 10 years. And with that, I'd like to invite our first speaker or first presentation for this evening. Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Good evening to all of you, and I'm excited to join this group of fantastic panelists today. A lot of doctors, a lot of fantastic people who have been very and are very important pillars of Fumba Town, the project we're discussing today. We're very, very honored to have celebrated the 10 years, and we still feel very blessed that we can do an amazing project like this here in Zanzibar, together with the people of Zanzibar and the government of Zanzibar, which have been fantastic supporters. So I would like to take you shortly through the story. I think you can see my presentation here. Fumba Town has made a great journey over the last 10 years, from an idea of developing a town to actually becoming a larger village and maybe one day a real big town. So let me start by of course talking about that, and then a lot of that I have learned actually from Curtis, who is also today here working for the African Urban Lab. Why do we need new cities? Why do we need new towns in Africa? What is the idea behind building a town? And it's not because we are very crazy and we think we're building a town, a normal project is not enough for us. No, because we need to bring solutions in for the urbanization that is happening all over Africa. And here's an important quote: urbanization is happening in Africa today faster and on a larger scale than anywhere else in human history before. And this is really, really big. So it is a massive movement. Some people are saying it's a massive challenge. We want to see it as a huge opportunity. And how do we turn this movement, this urbanization, into an opportunity that actually monetizes and supports the development of many countries in Africa? This is really where we are working on as a team, as a company, also supported with CCI, Charter Cities Institute, and African Urban Lab and other partners. How can we actually make this a great opportunity and a great development for many places in Africa? And we have that all over the place. I'm just sorry, the population of Africa will grow by 1 billion people in the next 25 years. Now, this is a huge number, right? Just imagine 1 billion people, right? That is more than double of what Europe has. So that's just what we're growing over the next 25 years. And these billions of people need solutions. They need homes, they need streets, they need water, they need waste management, they need landscaping, they need services. It's a massive, massive opportunity. And we showed this from Zanzibar. It's the same thing. We have growth at the moment of 46% over the past 10 years. So we need to actually, we have a growing demand of homes. We need to add at least 10,000 homes a year. And unfortunately, in many places where this is happening, we're still far away from delivering those homes. So Fumba Town, and I will come back to that in the later slide, is really a model where we are wanting to achieve, we're wanting to find out how can we actually, with a new urban center like Fumba Town, create a model that can be used to create a solution for this challenge or this opportunity, actually providing enough homes in a very high speed, right? We need to do that fast. We don't have the time. The 1 billion people are going to be there in the next 25 years for sure. And we have the 46% growth already now. And we had it last 10 years. We're going to have it in the next 10 years. So there is not if or when, it is there. And we have to act. And Fumba Town is as a model town development, as a model urban development, there to provide solutions or to find the best solutions for this movement. Why in Zanzibar? Okay, Zanzibar is, of course, a very, very special place. It's one of Africa's most popular travel destinations now. It has world-class beaches. It's very rich in culture. We have Stone Town as a World Heritage Site. We have, you just showed on the slide before, also 46% population growth. So there is massive demand for homes. It's a very young real estate market. So it's the youngest real estate market. So there's a lot of potential here. Things are happening or just starting to happen. So it's exciting also for investors to come in at a very early stage into these markets. We have incentives now from the government that people buying from 100,000 can get residency. So really attract investment and capital into this market of homes and urbanization and building new towns. We cannot do this just with the capital that we have now here in Zanzibar. We need investors from outside to invest into this market, to provide those homes for the people and that massive growth we have. Because we have high appreciation of capital. That is very clear in young markets that have such a massive demand, right? And Zanzibar, of course, is a beautiful location. It's very safe. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Zanzibar, which makes it special. But the model of Fumba Town is actually a model that we hope and we support to be copied in many places. Maybe not one to one, but similar or learning from what we're doing in many other places. And we're doing that. Curtis and his team that had organized a fantastic New City Summit in Nairobi earlier this year. We have city builders from around the world are coming together, exchanging ideas, supporting each other, learning from another. And I think that's a very, very important thing. So Fumba Town is playing one small part in that, but we will want to play an important part in developing the urban space in Zanzibar and in Tanzania. And of course, yes, Zanzibar fantastically connected, 20 international flights and more. You can get to and from Zanzibar very easy. So also for investors, from people from other places. And Zanzibar, different to maybe other places, is a very exciting and known international brand now. So in most places of the world, people have somehow heard about Zanzibar already, and that makes it a very attractive location and destination. We have, and that's shown here, 46% tourism growth August to August. It's exploding. It's the market here, and tourism is one of the main sponsors of our economy, is growing super, super fast. And we are not providing directly to tourists, a little bit indirectly also, because some of our apartments are being used for Airbnb and other services, and Doris is also renting out some of apartments also on a short term. But a tourism industry, like any other industry, and any other industry, needs support services and people working in that industry. And these people need now new urban centers. Jobs are being created. People are earning money. They need homes. They're looking for nice homes, right? So this is all a very nice development we see here. And Fumba Town provides that space, also supporting this industry, right? If you want industry growth, people need to live somewhere. And if they want to live somewhere, they need urban centers providing the service to do so. That reflects also in the numbers. So we have 7.4% GDP growth, and something very, very important, that massive investment that Qatar just guaranteed to Zanzibar of $10 billion, mostly into infrastructure, because we know, and we've been discussing this also as part of the African Urban Lab, that we can actually only monetize on urbanization if we have infrastructure. So infrastructure is going to be the key to monetize on that. And we're very, very happy that our government could attract that massive investment into our infrastructure, into ports, into airports, into roads, power systems, and so on, waste management. That will really be a catalyst. And we can see that then also Fumba Town in Zanzibar, and Zanzibar as a whole, with this investment, surely are developing extremely fast over the next couple of years. So this fantastic developments also for investors looking to invest in a fast growing new market. Zanzibar is the place. It's beautiful. It's well connected. We are here. Fantastic team is here. We've been here for 10 years now. And of course, a very progressive and very, very strong government doing extremely much in developing the country extremely fast, because they know it has to go fast. And for doing that, we need capital. And of course, what is generally, the framework around Zanzibar is that stamp that you see often still in many government offices in Zanzibar, religious tolerance, right? So Zanzibar is really open to people from around the world. Everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter what skin color, what religion, what cultural background you have. You're welcome, and you're going to feel home in Zanzibar. And this is really what makes it a very, very special place as well to come and look. And that was also one of the big drivers for Fumba Town over the last years. It's the strong support of the government. It's, of course, the strong work our team is doing, but it's also that openness that Zanzibar has. People can easily start feeling home. And this is really what we want to create in Fumba Town. It's a home for people, a good life for people from around the world, and from Zanzibar and from Tanzania. Who's CPS? Very shortly, because we're going to have a lot of speakers today. So CPS Africa, we are a developer, we are a family business, we are building urban communities. It's my brother, or is it Tobias is here, is my brother, my wife is here, and of course a fantastic team. Many of them you see here. Franco, who's been a very important pillar of this project from the beginning. Jenny, Joel, who's been working for us for many years. Doris also, who then went to study and came back. Curtis, who is here now, and my neighbor in Fumba, which I'm very proud of. So a very strong team, and it's only a team, and it's relationships, and it's people that can create something amazing like this. And it's been also, unfortunately, we don't have anybody from the government, but I want to mention that again, the support of the government over the last 10 years has been so strong, and we see how they're continuing to develop Zanzibar. It's been fantastic. So CPS specializes in developing large-scale urban projects that create safe, modern, affordable housing for people from around the world and from a wide range of income groups. With these projects, we want to enable home buyers to invest safely in this fast-growing market, and with that contribute to this urbanization trend that we have. It's a fantastic opportunity, and our passion is really making the most out of this opportunity and using this to really empower the economy. So we're a small family business only, right? We have a big project. We're German by nature, but by heart we're Africans. So we love to be here. We're fully committed. We live in Fumba, and this is our project. This project is our life. What is Fumba Town now? Fumba Town is a unique green city concept. That's what I said before. So we want to create a city concept that is maybe not only possible here in Zanzibar, that may be possible in Nairobi or close to Nairobi, that might be possible in other places in Africa, offering people from Zanzibar and wherever they then come from and around the globe a safe and secure investment opportunity into this market. That's one thing. But together with the community of homeowners, and we have homeowners now in Fumba from nearly every African country, right? We have Eritreans, we have Sudanese, we have Ethiopians, we have Nigerians, we have Ghanaians, we have South Africans, right? So Egyptians, of course, right? And I don't want to forget anybody, but we have nearly every African country as homeowner in Fumba as investor. More than 72 nationalities have invested so far. Here it still says 60. I have to change that number. And with that community of people, we want to mold a new green African city, because when we build a lot of cities, a lot of new homes needed for the 1 billion additional people, we need to make this green, because we need to look after our environment, after our planet. If we don't do this green, and Mr. Green is here, Mr. Franco, we're calling off Mr. Green, it's important we do things right. Fumba has been built with the help of Franco from scratch with permaculture and permaculture principles. We are pioneering engineered timber construction here to have a carbon neutral construction technology to be used, and a lot of other things. But what we want to create a new green African city as global hotspots for technology, culture, design, and bespoke urban lifestyle. So this is really, it is not just an urban development. We want to create something that we can be proud of, and that our people here in Zanzibar from around the world are proud of to call their home. And this is what Fumba Town really is. I have put a small video together because it's not celebrated 10 years. I hope you can all hear it. Right? Yeah, what is Fumba? That is Oh yeah, that was 10 years of building community, but now this is where it started, really greenfield from scratch and with a fantastic team, right? And Franco, my brother, being there from day one, basically, we built something, but our vision goes beyond what we have achieved. So our vision is developing a green, thriving, empowering new African urban center that impacts the economy of Zanzibar, wherever that place can be, and acts as a model for other city developments around the continent, and creates a place for thousands of residents to live a good life. So that is what carries our vision. This is our vision. This is what we want to achieve with Fumba. And this is why we designed this. So it's more than a real estate development. It's more than just an idea. It's a very strong vision that we can live with a very strong team. And with that, I want to welcome you all to the United Nations of Happiness. Welcome to Fumba Town, right? And all these residents, you amazing residents here in Fumba Town, wonderful people, beautiful people from around the world, from around Africa, living here in Fumba Town. So, Joel, that is the vision of Fumba Town.
Thank you for that, Sebastian. Very brief, very concise, straight to the point. I love the introduction. And since we're talking about Fumba Town, we're talking about, building our community. I would like to keep the topic within Fumba Town, and would like to invite Dr. Jenny to share with us what she has to offer in terms of the stuff that she does and what she's built here in Fumba. With that, Dr. Jenny, karibu sana. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Joel. I think you can all see my screen, right? So yes, as you said, I am Dr. Jenny. I'm the founder and current CEO of Urban Care, Fumba Town's first healthcare facility. And I want to I would like to circle back a little bit to what Sebastian said in the beginning about the rapid urban growth that we witness around here in also in Tanzania, and what it does in the healthcare sector, because there have been studies in the developing world and also here in Tanzania. One of them I pulled up for you here that was based in Morogoro, where it was shown that the rapid urban expansion actually it goes faster than the healthcare infrastructure is developing. And what that ultimately does is that people don't have access to healthcare facilities. The healthcare facilities are not well equipped enough, so the availability of services is actually below standard, below what we want. Now, in Tanzania, over the past decade, they have been taking steps towards universal health coverage, and they have been particularly focusing on strengthening the primary healthcare infrastructure. And that absolutely makes sense, because if you improve the primary health sector, and that is not just the staffing, you will bring a broader range of care, a better range of care, and you bring it closer to the communities. And if we think of urban planning as a whole, I really like that quote from Dr. Maria Neira, who said that the purpose of urban planning is human health. That's the why. That's why we're doing it, for our physical health, for our mental health, for our well-being. Now, coming back to what we are doing in urban care, we are not a specialized medical facility in one particular field that is servicing only one small group of people. We are a primary health center. That means we have a wide base, we have a wide range of services that we deliver at a high quality and also oriented at international standards. We have different departments. One of them, or just the biggest one, I would say, is the primary and family care. That includes everything acute illness, but also a big pillar is the preventative health, the checkups, the management of chronic illnesses. We have a gynecological and obstetric department. We have emergency care and inpatient care. We have a dental department. We do see dermatology cases, do skin cancer screening and diagnosis of treatment of skin conditions. And we have an on-site laboratory. And that is catering for like 85–90% of the tests that we need to do in order that our doctors can actually diagnose and treat our patients properly. So this is one pillar, the quality of healthcare. And the other pillar of us is the accessibility. Now we have accessibility for Fumba Town, obviously regarding our close proximity of our location within Fumba Town. But one big thing for us within accessibility is also the financial accessibility. So we have a huge community commitment within urban care, where we provide healthcare services to financially disadvantaged patients, and that includes visits in our clinic, but that also includes health education and screenings. And just so to summarize, like the healthcare or the integration of healthcare into the planning of a town such as Fumba Town is actually vital it's a vital piece of the infrastructure. And yes, it makes the town attractive to investors or to people who are living here. But in my opinion, it's not just it being attractive. It is, like I said in the beginning, it is the why of the planning of the city. It's why you want to have a city basically well managed and well planned. And to just end up, one second, yeah, here it is. I have this video for everybody who hasn't been in Fumba Town yet and who hasn't seen urban care, just for you to have an idea of how we're set up. I'm just gonna play and hope it will work and you can see it.
Urban care, Fumba Town's first healthcare facility, delivering personalized and professional healthcare services. At Urban Care, you will receive medical consultations and assistance paired with competence and an empathetic, patient-centered approach. Coordinated by our medical director, Dr. Jenny Diviner, who trained in Germany and Scotland, our general practitioners are available for in-house consultations, home visits, emergency visits, and remote video and text consultations. The time spent with each patient is more than average. This shared decision-making is an integral part of our medical practice. We believe that each patient has the right to fully understand the current state of health and play an active role in the planning and execution of their treatment plan. Karibu Urban Care.
Okay, so since we've been celebrating 10 years of Fumba Town at the moment, and I know in the preparation, Joel, you have been asking, like, where do you think, where do you see this all in the future? And I see now healthcare concentrated, I see it evolving. Same as when we started 6 years ago, it was a private practice, just one doctor, one receptionist, and now we are here, and we are able to offer this wider base of services. And I feel that with the years, with the town evolving, with the town growing, also the services that will be offered here will be growing, but still with a strong focus on the primary healthcare, because that's what I feel is the basis for everything. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Your video was nice. We heard it, we saw it, and I also agree with you. It's important to think about healthcare when you're planning a town, when you're planning an urban center, and I like the way you put it. It was very well put. And speaking about urban planning and urban centers, I think that would bring us nicely to the next presentation. I love it, Curtis. You're ahead of time. Please take us away. Walk us through what urbanization in Africa looks like and your perspective from African Urban Lab.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. And yeah, happy Friday evening to everyone, at least here in East Africa. I assume there's probably folks from other time zones, but happy Friday evening. So as Joel mentioned, I'm Curtis Lockhart. So I'm founder and director of the Africa Urban Lab. The Africa Urban Lab, or AUL, it's a new research center. We like to call ourselves a think do tank, housed at a new university here in Zanzibar called the African School of Economics Zanzibar, or ASE Zanzibar. And I know there's already looks to be some questions on the chat from, I believe, Rhonda. We'll talk a little bit more about ASE Zanzibar as a university in the Q&A. Just a little bit more about me. So I come to this topic as sort of a researcher, and so I'll show some stats and data and charts and stuff to just lay out the ground truth about African urbanization and its trajectory over the next several decades. But I also talk, as Sebastian alluded to, as a neighbor and property owner in Fumba Town, and a sort of resident in Zanzibar. So I come from both angles. And very excited to talk on this auspicious occasion, 10 years of Fumba Town. So with that, let me dive in. I took this pretty concisely because it's not just your Friday evening, it's my Friday evening. So I tried to be succinct, and then I'm happy to answer some questions at the end. So with that, I took my task as sort of laying out, Sebastian alluded to it in the early slides of his presentation, but laying out some of the big facts about African urbanization as it's unfolding today, and as it will continue to unfold over the next several decades this century. And it really revolves around these three essays, you could call them. One is scale, so just the sheer numbers we're talking about. One is the speed at which African urbanization is unfolding. And then the third, and importantly, this one is probably the most neglected, is spend. So the level of income that African urbanization is unfolding across the continent today. So I'll cover each of these in turn, and then I'll talk a little bit about Fumba Town specifically, and kind of why the Africa Urban Lab decided to house ourselves there, and the opportunities we see in Zanzibar and in Tanzania. So first on scale, this chart I think gets at it nicely, just the sheer hugeness, gargantuanness of the urbanization that's about to unfold. So just in terms of numbers, between now and 2050, about 2.5 billion people are being added to the world's cities. About 95% of that increase is happening in cities of the global south, so low and lower middle income cities. And about 1 billion, as Sebastian said, about 1 billion of that number is just African cities. So just a billion people, 25 years, that is a massive number. And so this is going to be one of the defining mega trends of the 21st century. And it's the main motivation for the setup of the Africa Urban Lab and our work. Just to provide some other charts and graphics that get at the scale of this. So this is a snapshot of some of the mega cities. So cities of I think 10 million or more across the globe. As you see, this is a snapshot today in 2025. And so Asian cities kind of dominate this current landscape as it stands this year in 2025. But if you fast forward a mere 75 years to 2100, you'll see that that landscape drastically shifts, and it shifts extremely quickly. So by 2100, by the end of this century, the 21st century, African cities will absolutely dominate the world's urban landscape. And so it's going to be an extremely interesting 75 years as this mega trend unfolds. And we hope our lab and Fumba Town are part of the solution to this really big mega trend that's occurring. Just another graph to get at the scale of this. So on the left, you'll see back in 2010, around 10 of the world's largest cities were African cities. And you look forward to the right of this chart to the end of this century in 2100, just under 40 of the world's largest cities will be African cities. And this actually, this 4 out of 10 number, 40 out of the top 100 cities, being African cities, dovetails nicely with overall demographic trends, because by 2100, 4 out of every 10 human beings on the planet will be Africans. Africa is the only region driving human population growth after 2050. So again, this all gets at this kind of underlying point that the world's future, humanity's future, is in Africa, and Africa's future is an urban future. And again, the lab wants to be part of dealing with and grappling with this huge mega trend. So that was a bit on scale. I want to talk very briefly about the speed at which this is unfolding, and just to give a sense of time scales here. So the world hit 50% urbanized around 2010. And at that point, when we were 50% city and 50% rural, there were about 3.5 billion people in cities. And it took us, so we've been, as a species, we just started moving into cities around 100 centuries ago. So 10,000 years ago is when we started this big urbanization project we've been on. So that means it took us 100 centuries to get to 3.5 billion urbanites. You look at the numbers in this century, in the 21st century, so one century, and we're estimated to add 5 billion new people to our cities in just the 21st century. So that's adding 50% more people in 100th of the time as we added that original 3.5 billion. So these numbers are just insane. This is an unprecedented clip at which cities are growing. And as I said, Africa is the epicenter of this trend. So that gets at speed. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is spend. And I think this is an important and often neglected piece of the African urbanization story. So this slide is just to show and illustrate the low income levels at which rapid urbanization and urban transition is unfolding across the continent. So in the US hit 50% urbanized around 1920, here on the left, at around $7,500 per person in income. Fast forward to the late 70s, South Korea and much of East Asia hits 50% urbanized, so the same level of urbanized at $4,500 per person, so slightly lower than the United States. You fast forward to today, and much of Africa is careening towards 50% urbanized. The continent's at 44-45%, at incomes per capita of around $1,000 per person. Right. And so just kind of an order of magnitude, oftentimes less than these other regions have urbanized historically. And so what that means is there's going to be across African towns and cities a much lower tax base for these cities to pay for and finance the needed housing, roads, water, sanitation, infrastructure that these cities need in order to accommodate the billion people being added to them in the next 25 years. And this is where I think new city developments, and the private sector being involved, like CPS, can be a huge part of the solution to rapid urbanization that's unfolding across the continent over the next 25, 30, 40, 50 years. So just a little on Fumba Town, why the Africa Urban Lab and the African School of Economics, the university that the lab is at, sees a lot of promise in Zanzibar and Fumba Town in particular, and apologies for the pixelated Google screenshot, but we're going to deal with it. So this is the Fumba Peninsula. Zoom in a little bit and you see the strategic location right on the outskirts of fast-growing Zanzibar city. Just a few advantages to list off and talk about very quickly. Like many African cities, you kind of see the footprint of Zanzibar city here. See all the houses, whatnot. Fumba Town is right in the growth path of this city. So Zanzibar city, for those who don't know, it's growing at about 4% per year. With that growth rate, if it continues, the population of Zanzibar city will double in 17 years. So that's adding 800,000 people to Zanzibar city. And the rub is that it's made even tougher to add that 800,000 people in Zanzibar city because a big part of downtown Zanzibar city, as many people know, is declared a UNESCO heritage site, which makes it tough to build housing in those areas. So what's going to need to happen to adequately accommodate that 800,000 people is you're going to have to look to areas, strategic areas on the urban periphery, and build a lot of housing there. And that's why I think that's one of the main reasons I think Fumba Town is extremely well positioned to kind of help and become a satellite city that helps accommodate this 800,000 people. A few other things, Zanzibar is already sort of semi-autonomous and it can experiment and try out different innovative policies when it comes to urbanization. And then those policies, if they work at a small scale within Zanzibar, can easily be scaled up, as Sebastian alluded to, not just to mainland Tanzania, but beyond. Kind of similar point, but Fumba Town is located, I think, strategically within a special economic zone here in Zanzibar that's actually quite big. It's 30 square kilometers. That doesn't just afford firms, tax incentives and other things, residency permits for folks who invest a certain level. But relevant to me and the Africa Urban Lab, it allows for innovations and trying new urban planning approaches, new zoning approaches, new approaches to land use regulation. And we can, in a way, in this position in Fumba Town and in the zone, we can be a sort of living urban lab that actually try and test out policies in the real world and therefore get immediate feedback from those policies. And then lastly here on anchor tenants, I think one of the things that sets Fumba Town apart is it's got some extremely strategic anchor tenants. I'm a little biased on the ASE, the African School of Economics front. I think we're a pretty great anchor tenant ourselves, but also in addition to the African School of Economics, Fumba has been fortunate enough to have the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, which just set up its first non-Indian campus ever, set up in Fumba Town and the Fumba Peninsula, which is an extreme, it's like the MIT of India is here in Fumba Town. And I know the ASC and the Africa Urban Lab teach our classes out of IIT's facilities. We are very tight partners with Preeti and her team at IIT. They plan to grow to thousands of students. And likewise, the African School of Economics plans to grow to thousands of students. So we call ourselves the Harvard MIT of East Africa. We have ambitious goals for the two universities, and we couldn't find a better location than Fumba Town. So with that, let me come to a close here. I just wanted to highlight the way the African urban revolution is unfolding, in particular talking about the scale, the speed, and the spend issue. So thank you very much, and I appreciate being part of this event. Thanks, Joel. Back to you.
Thank you, Curtis. Very, very detailed presentation, lots of numbers, a bit scary, but I think if we plan right, if we set our policies well, ideally we should be able to manage all of these billions of people that will be in different parts of Africa. So we look forward to all the work that you're doing together with the work that we are doing here to ideally, make a better Africa, a more sustainable Africa, and a very rich Africa as well. I know the other panelists have not said much, and I would like to go into the Q&A session. But before that, maybe they could just say a few words. I would like to start off with Doris. Maybe you could say a few words of what is it that you do here. CPS and with you with TOC and in Fumba Town, just to let the audience know who you are.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you for the introduction. As you said before, my name is Doris Ishenda. I work for a town operations company. I'm the homeowners liaison and communication manager. So town operations is more like, it's the center of the town, center of Fumba Town. We deal with everything and anything, you know. So with the first point when somebody comes into Fumba Town, either it's a new homeowner, it's a resident, somebody, whatever they need. So we help them through the whole process, how to buy utilities, how to go around the town. We show them the food courts, everything that they need, you know, the basic needs. And yeah, so my previous panelist members were very technical. I try not to get emotional when I talk about Fumba Town, but for me, it's all about the community, you know. Fumba Town, it's all about the people. I think the whole heart of Fumba, it's people-centered, it's community, it's sharing a cup of coffee, it's, you know, seeing kids playing at the playground. So in a whole sense of everything, if you want to live in a place where you find people from different countries, 70 countries, as Sebastian mentioned before, sit together and, you know, talk about craziest topics, you know. I'd like to take an example of the panels that we have today. A few years ago, me and Dr. Jenny were preparing a Halloween festivity for the kids. You know, it was fun. You know, it's the kids got together, the parents got together. That's Fumba Town. That's Fumba Town. It's a community.
Thanks, Doris. We lost you for a second.
Whatever. To be.
Oh, you're there.
Pardon? Yeah.
I seem to have lost you for a few seconds, but you're back.
Yeah, I was just trying to give people the sense of community that Fumba Town like represents, right? So I wanted to take an example of the people that are here with us today, and I was giving an example of how me and Dr. Jenny we prepared a Halloween festival for the kids. You and I hang out a lot, you know, so Fumba Town, it's not only about the buildings, you know, the buildings. Yes, we have beautiful buildings. We have amazing infrastructure. The scenery is amazing. We have beautiful parks, the green spaces, the shared public spaces. In the night, it's beautiful lighting. We have food courts. We have, you know, it's everything, but it's also about a sense of belonging. So I just want to take a few minutes and emphasize on that. You know, it's home. It's home for a lot of people, and that's what TOC presents. We're trying to enhance the feeling where people will feel at home, feel safe. We have 24/7 security, so anytime, you know, you feel safe. The landscaping is amazing. I'm sure Franco will talk more about that, and I think you can find everything here in Fumba Town. So that's basically what I wanted to share just for now. You know, I'm sure the questions later, hopefully.
Thank you for that, Doris. I could tell that came straight from the heart.
Yeah.
I can feel the emotions, and I think a lot of the panelists as well smiling. They can resonate with what you're saying because that's our everyday life. And hopefully, for those that are watching us, will then get to experience that. I believe Rhonda mentioned she purchased with us recently, and I think next year she'll be joining us in January. So, Rhonda, you'll be part of this community. You get to feel exactly what Doris is saying, what I am saying, Sebastian, Jenny, and everyone else. And with that being said, I would like to welcome Franco. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what you do and what PDC does in general for the town.
Yes, hello, good evening, everybody. Permaculture is basically creating sustainable human settlements that are functioning in harmony with the environment. And it was our wish to be able to be part of that town and to kind of create a lot of green places, because humans as a species, we always were connected to the environment. And in the beginning, we looked at the villages, we looked which plants were in the villages, what have been of usage for the communities for the last 100, 200 years. And all these trees like mangoes or breadfruits or jackfruits or henna or, became part of the stock that we put on our lists to also move into Fumba Town. And we also looked at the indigenous species because one of our ideas was to make the landscape resilient to the change of climate, to the rise of temperature, and they're very well adapted to this climate, and they're also important for the supporting insects and birds as fodder plants. And very early, we realized that the homeowners really appreciated the green spaces. We had right in the beginning our first kind of activities within the parks, like the Petroqueno Community Market. The trees now grown, giving us shade to gather underneath and to sell sustainable produce from Zanzibar. We will be able to convince the developers, Sebastian and Katrin and Tobias, to manage also the waste, to kind of take care of what we are producing and to kind of find ways of either organics to compost or to recycle. And we look on the way forward of how can we create like a circular economy where the finished product of the one becomes the starting product of the other. The landscape obviously also has the function of cooling the town. Like often in cities, we have a heat island effect. The sun heats up the roads and buildings and footpaths. So the landscape is designed in a way to become a productive forest and then help us not only to produce fresh fruits or medicines, but also helps us to cool the town. So when you walk through it, there is a nice climate. And at the same time, if you want to cool down your house, use your air conditioning, it doesn't cool down or has to cool down from maybe at a temperature of 35 degrees, but rather from an outside temperature of 24 or 26. And that in the long term, obviously, also helps to reduce the energy consumptions. You pay less for your electricity. Obviously, you save money. And overall, we were very, very surprised on the feedback from the homeowners of how much they actually appreciated, and also being a constant construction surrounding us, you can still create peaceful spaces where you can sit, you can talk to your neighbors, you can read a book. So you kind of don't feel like you're in this construction, but it already in the early stages became a home. And it is also very nice to see the children now getting obviously more being on the playgrounds, enjoying themselves outside, being in contact with the environment, learning about birds, learning about bees, and to introduce the younger generations, which are later the decision makers, to the natural environment, because this is often missing in cities. So if they later have to make decisions, they make a more informed decision, maybe for agriculture or for the environment. So we're very grateful that we had this opportunity, and also since 2 years attending the infrastructure, being able to send, for example, the water from the roads to the plantings, which helps us to keep the natural water cycle, to make sure that the groundwater gets refilled, to overall, not just take care of the people, but also create a harmonious system for all of us to thrive within.
Thanks for that, Franco. And yeah, we truly appreciate the work that you and the PDC team do. I mean, living in an environment where you have different plants with different uses that are available to you, for some people right outside their doorsteps, for others, like you talked about, the trees that have shading, and that footpath there. I've been told there are berries there. I personally have never been lucky to get them, but a lot of people always tell me that they have been lucky to get the berries from that footpath. So just that's one of the many things that you do for the town, and we appreciate you for that. If you don't hear it enough, I hope you hear it today, this evening. We really enjoy the work that PDC does for Fumba Town. And last but not least, Tobias, a few words from you before we go into the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was hoping you forget me. No, I obviously also want to welcome everybody again from my side here. I think because we're talking a lot about urbanization today, and one thing, especially from Kurt's presentation, stuck again, and it's, you know, when we talk about urbanization, it's not just the scale and speed what is so phenomenal in Africa right now, but the urbanization is really also the low spend, right? So basically that many African countries are still very poor. The GDP per capita is very low, which brings us really to Fumba, because I know we have also a lot of investors here today in the audience who are looking into investing in Zanzibar, into Fumba Town maybe, and we really, this urbanization needs foreign direct investment, right? That is what is really needed to be able to tackle this big challenge. And and I think that is also what makes Fumba quite special, because Fumba is not just creating a lot of homes for the Zanzibari and the people who's moving to the urban centers of Zanzibar, but it actually combines it with also attractive investment options for people from Europe, people from America, from around the world, who are looking into investing into a retirement home, a holiday home, a second home, right? And with that investment, bringing money into the country, you are contributing to tackle that challenge. It's really creating jobs. We have created with us as a CPS and surrounding companies already over 700 permanent jobs with this development, plus all the subsidiaries around and the day workers and so on. So it's really contributing to the wealth, and also working in the economy, right? So that is really what I want to maybe quickly say here in this round, as we're talking about urbanization. And for all the investors out there who are looking into buying a beautiful holiday home or a villa, I always like to tell them, you know, the best thing you can actually do is buy one for yourself and buy another apartment to rent out for the people who need a good and decent place to live in. So that is the actual best combination to do.
Thank you for that, Tobias. And I do have a number of questions, but there's also a lot of questions from the audience. And I would like to start off with you, since you were the last one to speak. Maybe you could highlight on what you personally have learned about the expectations of international buyers versus local buyers.
Well, for international buyers, mostly it's about, you know, how safe is my investment? It's about the legal situation in the country. It's about, you know, how is the process really facilitated? There we are very fortunate here in Zanzibar. We have a very progressive government who tries to establish regulations and rules and laws which really welcome foreign investors, which give them the security. We here in Fumba, you get directly a 99-year lease. You are protected as an international investor. But we also, as developer, we're helping to guide you along the way. We're doing most of the working with authorities for you. We're handling all the paperwork. We're trying to make it as smooth as possible and easy as possible for you to really get into the market. And then also have obviously partners like TOC who then help you actually move here and establish your life here. So we do a lot to facilitate that. On the other hand, a local investor, for example, is rather looking more into livelihood, right? They're looking into the facilities offered, into what are the services on the ground, how's the infrastructure, how's the security as well. So this is really the different expectations, and I think we managed over the last years to cater for both. One of our strengths is that we have been talking to thousands of potential clients, and we really listen to the concerns and to their wishes, and try to smoothens them out along the way. Not everything is perfect yet, and but we really try to learn and to listen to everything what comes out of the discussions we have with potential interested clients, but also potential interested residents, and learn from that. So yeah, that in a nutshell.
All right, thanks for clarifying that. We've got a question from Abu Bakar. Curtis, I think I'll address this one to you because you spoke about the School of Economics. The question is, to summarize it very well, in the context of Zanzibar, where the majority of residents, local residents, will need access to better and higher quality education, will they be able to afford the cost so that they can, well, be enrolled to these institutions? What do you think about that or foresee?
Yeah, I know who this Abu Bakar is. So hi Abu. So great question. We are in a fortunate position at ASE and the Africa Urban Lab to be able to offer to most of our students, so 34 of the 38 incoming students, and then likely 45 to 50 of the incoming 65 to 70 students for the second cohort, offer them either full or partial scholarships from generous donors in various places around the globe. And so funding wise, tuition wise, if you get accepted, there's a high likelihood you will either get partial or full coverage. And that full coverage includes not just coverage of tuition, but also coverage of flights and accommodation during your stay here in Zanzibar. And so, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And then there are options, obviously, to work with folks who aren't as fortunate to get scholarships or coverage of flights and accommodations. We can work on payment arrangements and whatnot. But in terms of Zanzibaris and Tanzanians that took the program, I think for our first cohort, we had 35 students. Around 10 of them came from Tanzania, and I believe 4 came from Zanzibar. And so we had almost half of our first cohort come from either Tanzania or Zanzibar, and about those proportions will occur for the second cohort as well. So we have a big contingent of both Zanzibaris and Tanzanians attending our programs.
That's very beautiful to hear. Thanks, Curtis. Curtis, I'm also aware that you did say you have limited time with us. I wanted to check how long more do we have you on the call, the webinar?
I'm fine to continue, Joel. Don't worry.
Oh, fantastic. Happy to hear that. All right. I've got another question I'd like to address to Sebastian. I think you kind of already provided the answer to this, but it's always good to provide extra clarity. This question is, what is the current status of construction in Fumba Town? And what are the next completed houses that will be built within the next 2 years? I think they want to know which products will be happening next or completing the next 2 years, and how long is the overall construction progress?
Yes. So no, thanks for the question, Joel. And we are currently building in around 800 units under construction. Pretty much the same number of units has been completed so far already. As you know, we have around 1,500, 2,000 residents in town, which of course varies a little bit throughout the year. So we are currently building everything from the entry level, from the JJ units of smaller apartments and studios, which is often was a very good product for students and student accommodation, to the Manganis, which are our more mid-class apartment types, and the Moyonis as the townhouses. Our high-end products like the Busani villas are pretty much sold out. What we have brought in a new product that is beautiful, and it's already now in the third season. Third series is the Fumba Horizons that have been originally in-house developed, and which is a very, very well-working product in rental and in sales, and also in short-term rental. And a very, very beautiful villa with an old pool. So we are building on all sides at the moment. We're also putting a lot of focus on infrastructure at the moment. Our street lights, Curtis, next time you come, we'll have street lights all over. They should be offloaded today or tomorrow. So we finally have street lights everywhere. We've just completed our second roundabout here at the entrance. And so we're really pushing that. A lot of infrastructure issues, because that is really key, that a town development like this doesn't fall behind in infrastructure. So the infrastructure catches is always online or in line with the development of the town, which of course is challenging, but Franco and his team are doing an amazing job, both in infrastructure and in landscape development of the town, pushing these things forward. And of course, and Jenny and TOC, Jenny with the urban care and TOC supporting that on the in all ways, in all aspects. I'm often being asked when the town will be finished, and to be very honest, we are currently planning until 2035. The current projection shows that we're going to have in total around 5,000 units, but we've also just launched a new master planning projects together with a team that is also teaching at the African Urban Lab, where we're looking into how should an African city like this actually develop us in terms of density, in terms of urban economics, what facilities are needed. So this is really a process that is going on. So we are currently developing on 50% of our land. So we still have 50% of the land available. On the first 50%, we currently have around 2,200 residential units that will cater for around 8,000 to 10,000 people. And I think it's going to be quite a bit denser on the second 50%. As you see in the background here, we're also planning the highest timber tower in the world, promoting this renewable and carbon neutral construction technology, coming in and taking the next step up vertically, because that's actually what is going to be needed in this context of fast urbanization, that we have to build higher to be able to afford high-class infrastructure and services. So we have to concentrate people on smaller spaces. I've also seen a question here about delivery times and potential delays and the challenges we have with our port at the moment. As you know, this project, since the last 10 years, we've gone through very difficult periods of 3 years of COVID, where many of our suppliers, manufacturers around the world had closed production, and we still had to deliver houses, which was extremely challenging. Then we had 2 years of sand scarcity in Zanzibar until new areas for new sand were explored and opened up for the market. And currently we have, because of the extremely fast economic growth, a little bit of a backlog at our ports, which are just, very overrun with demand of containers and goods being imported to Zanzibar. The government is actively working on investing in that context, in that area. But at the moment, it is very difficult for us to know exactly when our goods are really actually arriving in Zanzibar. So we need to ask our clients and homeowners to be a little bit patient. We will deliver every single house like we've done in the last 10 years that people have bought, but we might in some instances face some delays. But we are looking to making these as small as possible. But it is, and it will be in this massive urbanization trend, this massive investment that has to be happening in many places in East Africa and also in Zanzibar into infrastructure. There is great opportunity of great appreciation and high returns of investment, but at the same time, it will need a little bit more patience than maybe in other places of the world. But we as CPS and our team, we stand for delivering all the houses as promised, and we've always done that and always will do that. And we try to keep you posted as well as we can on the way. But we're looking forward to everyone who is bought, to welcome then Sumin Fumba and Doris and their team. We look after them also when it comes to moving in and renting and property management, and Jenny and her team will look after your health. So we are fully set up to welcome you here in Fumba Town.
Thank you for that long answer, Sebastian, and addressing the other question. And I think it also begs for us to plan, our ports and our infrastructure, because as you've said, I think Zanzibar has grown so much. There's a lot of demand for people to bring different goods and products into the island, but we're not ready. We were not ready to manage all of that's incoming, and hence the delays and all of that. So we should, plan for bigger ports, better ports, stronger infrastructure to make things move faster, so that we don't delay our clients and in the future. I want to ask a question to Dr. Jenny. Dr. Jenny, you ready? How does the presence of urban care increase Fumba's attractiveness for residents and investors alike, from your perspective?
From my perspective, particularly residents, they value, number one, the close proximity, but number two, also, especially if it's foreign investors, that they get something that is familiar to them from their home country, in the way of how they're treated and what they can expect. So and like I said before, I think that healthcare and urban planning goes hand in hand. And I think we've, like in the example of us, we've seen that with the demand of the town, we were able to also grow what services we offer for the town. So we're for example, regularly asking feedback also from our existing patients. What is it that they're missing? What is it that they need more as and then see how we can deliver on that as well. And yeah, so to answer that, in the end, it is always many questions that we always have is from people that want to permanently relocate, and then have questions regarding moving their, if they have, for example, chronic illnesses, moving their care from their home country to us. So that is often requires a certain transition time and also certain adjustments, but that is things that you discuss and see on an individual basis together with that person, and also potentially with their current healthcare provider.
Thank you for those details. I want to bring Doris and Franco back to the call. I'll start off with Doris, ladies first. For TOC, how does a homeowner connect with TOC? Is it automatic once you receive your keys as the homeowner, or is the homeowner expected to reach out to you guys? How does that work?
Thank you, Joel, for the question. So here at CPS, in general, it's like a family. So the moment you initiate a sale, the moment you initiate a buy, for example, you start with the sales team. So they take you through, they take you through the options and everything, and then once that's set, you move to client care. So client care take you through the process through the whole, like while you're buying, the progress, while they're building your unit and stuff like that. So once your unit is done, and then we set a handover date. So during the handover date is when either you can come physically, or you can send a representative, or you can do it virtually. So during the handover is when maybe somebody from the sales team is there, somebody from the client care team is there, and somebody from the TOC team is there. So we take you through the house. It's a whole event, you know, it's a champagne and everything, very, very nice. And then once they hand over the unit key to you, that's when TOC takes over. So we're like that cousin that you cannot get rid of, right? So TOC then takes you through everything. Like now you're a homeowner, because from a client, you're a homeowner. So now you're a homeowner, there's this, there's that. So we take you, that's when you get introduced to the whole TOC experience. So the homeowner does not reach us, we reach out to the homeowner, right? So I also see a question here about security. Like, so I think it's safe to say that Fumba Town is one of the safest places to live in Zanzibar, or should I dare say in Tanzania at large, because we have FTS security. It's FTS is the company that we have entrusted our town to, right? It's Fortitude, it's called Fortitude Total Security. They're very capable. I think, Joel, you attest to this. We have CCTV cameras everywhere. We have dogs going around. We have patrols everywhere. We have, I mean, everything that they can think of. So it's a safe town. It's a beautiful town. It's a whole combination. It's just a dream world. I mean, I can get emotional. So let me just stop here for now, but that's answer to the question. Thank you.
Thanks, Doris, for your input. And yes, I do agree and attest to what she's saying. FTS make it very safe, very secure. Literally, kids play by themselves. They leave the house, they go shopping. People enjoy and walk together, sit down. It's one of those places you actually have to experience, and then you will really believe what we're saying. But it is extremely safe, and hopefully you all get to enjoy it one day. Now, to you, Franco, the question is, do we have access to eat fruit from trees freely? Are there cooperative gardens or shared resources?
Obviously, yes, the entire landscape is planted to productive trees, fruit trees. Some of them, obviously, that take a while to produce fruits. Like a mango tree, for example, would take 6 to 7 years to produce the first time fruits. But as the tree grows, obviously, for many, many years, up to 70, 80 years, multiple tons, and this, the production of that landscape belongs to the community. So I see neighbors walking past like that footpath, harvesting, like they have a tree spinach called chaya for their lunches, people collecting, and there's some Indian community collecting seed pods from the moringa trees to cook curry, or some leaves or flowers for teas. Papayas are everywhere. You know, you see people walking in their arms with papayas, breadfruits. So there is a lot of lemongrass you can cut. And we also obviously started our first community garden. My wife called out a couple of homeowners, asked who wants to join to grow like communal some vegetables and fruits. And we hope as more and more people move into Fumba Town and the community grows, that part of like the daily fresh vegetables will be taken over by the communities, and they say, we want to grow on our rooftop or on our balcony, or we want to have more space to in the parks. And so we're stimulating this from time to time. And I think as the system grows, the landscape grows, and you can already see now the trees getting higher, there's going to be a plenty, as it always was on Zanzibar, because the idea was to carry that culture that there was food everywhere forward, and have the food natural and organic and not sprayed, but, you know, produced in a healthy way, because we thought that is very important for us to also create kind of a food security. Thank you.
Thank you, Franco. And that does sound lovely. If we get to that point and having bigger community gardens, all of us shaping what we're eating and using. I mean, personally, I have chai, aloe vera, and papaya. I'm very grateful for that. So thank you to you and your team. Very helpful. Now, I know we're an hour and about 13 minutes into our webinar. I don't want to keep people here for long. I would like to maybe do a short round. Each person in the panel, I will allow you to give your future outlook in terms of the future. So I'll start off with Sebastian. Sebastian, what is Zanzibar's urban future? What do you see for Zanzibar?
Sorry. Yes. So I mean, I'm a huge fan of Zanzibar, and of course all the opportunities that we see all over in Africa. I feel super at home here, even as a foreigner, and I think that is very special. Not many foreigners can feel home in other places, so that is a very special thing. So we really feel we have a home here, and we feel very, very welcome in Zanzibar, and it is a absolute pleasure to work with our colleagues, Zanzibaris and Tanzanians and Kenyans. They're so amazing people. So this is, first of all, a big thank you to everyone we're working with here in our teams and our government and in our neighborhoods and the communities, which are, of course, a big part of this project. So we believe Zanzibar has a very great future ahead of itself in the next 10, 15, 20 years. The economic development is massive. We have a very progressive government. We have fantastic projects. We have the universities that Curtis mentioned coming in, which are key to drive development and drive job development. We have a fantastic team here. And of course, Zanzibar is beautiful. It's centrally located. It's known around the world. And With everything we see today, Zanzibar is going to develop extremely fast. And this is really, I was in Kenya last week. We're talking in Tanzania. I'm really telling, especially to Tanzanians, Zanzibaris, but also Kenyans, you need to invest in Zanzibar now. If you can invest and you don't do it now, you're going to regret it. In Kenya, people are getting angry with me because they say, Sebastian, you should have pushed us already in 2018 harder to invest, right? So I say, okay, I don't want you to get angry, so just invest now, right? So because in 5 years, you're going to be angry with me again. It is really the time to invest in Zanzibar is absolutely now. And you should do that. And I just would love to answer the question of Andrea. She just sent here, how can a small development like this really feature or reach, how can it stand for development in Africa of where millions and millions of people will need a home, right? So it is not our approach in the Fumba Town to become a multi-million city, right? We will never able to do that unless we get more land or more land is allocated to us. But we want to create a model as a concept, right? That how can development actually work? How can a modern urban development function in this environment? How can it be financed? How can people, like Doris said, right? How can people from different income groups work together? How can the kids from different income groups play together peacefully, right? How can we create green infrastructure and an environment and waste management, a security, and all these things in an environment that doesn't have the same GDP like the US had or South Korea had when they urbanized, right? So this is really, it is a sandbox in many aspects, but it's a beautiful sandbox. It's something where we can try things out. We are in SSC, we're in a special economic zone, and I think that's also what Curtis said. This gives us the opportunity to also see with the government what legal framework does it need, right? What laws do we need? What regulations do we need in place to make something like this work, then also on a larger scale? And of course, we are also building and working and researching onto technology in all aspects. Franco does this for the composting and everything. We see how can things be copied? How can things be scaled up without massive investments necessary? So it's all about getting ready with a model that can be scaled, that can serve Africa in a bigger picture, and of course in the end can serve Zanzibar, because I'm telling you today, and take my word, Zanzibar is going to boom even more. Zanzibar is going to grow, and if you don't invest today, you are going to regret that. Welcome to Fumba.
Thank you, Sebastian. Next, I would like to go to Curtis. Curtis, what do you see as a trajectory of urbanization in Africa in general, and what should we plan for? What are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, closing thoughts. I might just kind of double down on what Sebastian just said, kind of looking forward, not just to Fumba, but beyond Fumba. And it kind of also addresses Andrea's good question, like how can a small town right now, how can it have lessons for this, tens of millions, hundreds of millions mega trend that I talked about, this African urbanization challenge that's unfolding. And I think this is the challenge that motivates our existence at the Africa Urban Lab. This is why we bring urban planners, we bring mayors, we bring ministers at federal ministries of urban development to the Africa Urban Lab to learn about the latest and greatest in urban development, right? And being located in a new town like Fumba that can experiment with new urban policies, test them on a small scale, rigorously research them, and then scale them up is a huge bonus, right? And so I think, sure, Fumba is small now, it will grow, as Sebastian's alluded to, piggybacking off of the 4% growth we're seeing in Zanzibar City. But I think number two, because we have these universities and us focused on cities, learning and researching what works and what doesn't on a small scale, the ultimate aim after pinpointing what works is to scale it up beyond Fumba and beyond Zanzibar. And we're already talking at the lab with the Ministry of Lands and Human Settlement at Dodoma, and several secondary cities across Zanzibar, Tanga, Mwanza, others might replicate the things that we pinpoint and prove out with data here in Fumba Town. And so, that's how you scale impact beyond this small kind of currently 2,000 person town, is you show what works. And oftentimes with a lot of mayors and city leaders, seeing is believing. And so if you can say, this went really well in Fumba, and we should really try it out in your fast growing town. That, you know, that's one of the things that I see the lab doing. So that's what I would say, Joel.
Thanks for that, Curtis. And I'm happy to hear that you're already working and with other townships and ideally other locations. You mentioned Tango, you mentioned Mwanza. I'm really happy to hear that because also with those areas, there's a lot of opportunity to also do it quite right because the town centers are not as developed or as big in some of the areas. So there's a chance to really create something beautiful that is sustainable, that works for everyone, especially the next generation. And speaking about, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, Joel, I will say, so that our urban planning team that teaches at our lab, that's working with Sebastian on a broader urban plan beyond just Fumba here in Zanzibar, they're also already doing similar projects with 30 secondary cities across East Africa, right? So this kind of scaling thing that I just alluded to, it's not like it's a future thing. It's already happening, not just here in Zanzibar, but beyond.
Fantastic. Super happy to hear that. Speaking about future cities and urbanization, Franco, what is permaculture's role in the cities of the future or in future cities?
As Curtis already said, seeing is believing. It was for us very important to be part of the urban movement or development and to try to, even with small steps, to improve the way people live within towns and the way they are built. And we also wanted to create a profession for people taking care of these cities that create a good income for them and for their families. And we wanted to inspire, as Curtis said, others to see what we do and say, okay, it's successful, people enjoy it, it's good for the environment, why don't we also go this route? And I think we have already achieved a lot on Zanzibar. When we came, permaculture was not really a word that anybody knew on Zanzibar. By now, many hotel companies ask us to help them to develop their landscapes, other organizations teaching permaculture. We have different schools. So sustainability and care is what our planet needs and our community needs at the moment. And so for us, we're going to continue pushing forward. We hope that the community and the people that live in Fumba Town buy into this idea, become part of it, and help on their level to develop it, because these urban gardens, these beekeeping clubs, this maybe taking care of mental health, taking care of older people and seeing their value, we hope we can inspire them, and I'm sure we will. And if you invest into Fumba Town, then you are part of putting your money into something we want to see or we need to see more of on that planet. So it's a decision in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts, Franco. Truly appreciate that. And to you, Dr. Jenny, what are your thoughts on health health resilience as a driver for growth?
So in general, I think I'm just echoing what everybody else has said as their final words. The health resilience or a resilient health system is a driver for sustainable economic growth, because when you have a resilient health system, you have directly a direct effect on mobility, on modality, meaning that you will reduce the time that people are off sick, and also reduce premature deaths. And that obviously has a direct result on the economy. So in the end, as Sebastian and also Curtis and Franco said, Fumba, Zanzibar as a whole, but Fumba in particular, can be seen as a blueprint and as a model, and that would include healthcare, and that, because if you have a resilient healthcare system, ultimately that system will be better coping with crisis. And these crises don't only mean pandemics and something what we had dealt with in 2020 onwards, but also the chronic diseases that where we see the rise of globally, which is just a real thing that everywhere globally we need to deal with. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Jenny. And I believe Sebastian wants to add on to that.
Yes, no, I think this has been a very, very good discussion. Thank you, Joel, for this fantastic moderation of this. And everyone knows, Jenny, exactly, I fully agree. What I would like to add, and last but not least here, is a fantastic article that actually that Curtis has written. He's here in the room, right? That I can recommend to all of you reading this article if you're interested in what we discussed today in a little bit more depth. Why urbanization, what effect, and what are the challenges of urbanization, and what are the opportunities. And Joel, I'm happy, I don't know, I can't share, you can maybe share in the group, then read this article. It's a fantastic article that gives a lot of insights about what is happening in Africa, what are the challenges, but what are also the opportunities of such. Sorry, Curtis, I didn't ask you. I just shared it because I think it's public anyway. So it's there. Curtis, do you want to comment shortly to this?
No, thank you for the shout out. Yeah, the article just goes over similar things to we've been talking about, and also covers some of the work beyond urban planning that the lab is up to, not just here in Fumba, but across a bunch of African cities, mostly East African cities right now, but we do want to expand to other regions across the continent. So yeah, appreciate the shout out. And if you read it and have questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to chat more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. And then I would like to go to Doris from a TOC perspective. What future community services can we expect?
Thank you, Joel. Now, I'm not going to be emotional. Let me get back to the technical and objective side. So for TOC, I think we're already in the right direction. You see, we adapt according to how the town is growing. So seeing that we already have all the permaculture, the security, all the important things already in place, now we want to get with the times. That's the technology side, you know, like smart systems. We want to go digital now, like smart meters, smart security systems, smart utilities and finance systems, smart property management systems. So now we want to improve our response time. You know, we want people to engage more to the things that we're doing in a more what do you call it, in a more technical way. We want to leave the filling in the forms and calling and whatever. I want to have systems in place where we just, with the click of a button or with the click of a link or something, people will get exactly what they want. So that's what we're trying to aim for now. So we're already starting with the smart meters. So the houses that are going to be handed over in the future, in the near future, hopefully before the end of December, we're going to have smart systems in place whereby one is able to see the consumption of their electricity and water wherever they are, because we know some of our homeowners are not in the country, and they'll be able to top up wherever they are. But now, because now you have to be actually physically here or whatever to top up. So there's that. We want to have systems whereby a person is able to pay or whatever wherever they are. So this is where we're seeing Fumba Town and all the projects that are under CPS in general. And of course, we also want to keep the community part of it alive. So when we want to create a place where an elderly person can be able to, you know, interact with a younger person without feeling, you know, all types of ways. We are trying to introduce things where we engage more with the community that surrounds us, you know, the villages that surround us. We're talking with Katrin yesterday. We want to have things like where our kids will be able to interact with the kids from the villages, you know, and play with sports, whatever, because we want to give them the sense of, you know, humility is an important thing for somebody to learn at a younger age. So we want to interact more with the outside community. So we just want to be part of the Dimani Nyamanzi, progress. So all in a nutshell, we want to move forward, smarter, and more inclusive, to say. So that's what TOC is trying to do for now in the near future. Yeah.
Thank you, Doris. Lovely to hear that digitization and inclusivity is a strong focus for you guys right now. And last but not least, Tobias, what are your thoughts on emerging investment pipelines right now? What's happening?
Okay, I thought I can also talk about the big picture future, not the emerging. Okay. No, there's obviously a lot of emerging investment pipelines. We have a lot in the pipeline. There is a lot on the market. We have, I think, units from over 40 to 50 different unit types on the market right now, from affordable studios all the way to luxury villas, right? And a price range which starts at $45,000 plus until, I don't know, a penthouse apartment at the Burj for $1 million. So there is a lot between, a lot of opportunities, and we're constantly developing new things as well. So we have an R&D department which develops new typologies, also with our architects and external engineers and architectural firms. Now, the thing is what is so exciting about what we're doing here, and I think this is also why everybody who is as a panelist here on a Friday evening at 7:30, where you would rather sometimes sit on maybe in a restaurant or spend time with your family. We're here because we're so passionate about what we do, right? And it's like really about making this huge challenge of urbanization in Africa an actual viable opportunity for many things, where and here from many building blocks are coming together. It's not about just creating a high number of high quality affordable houses, but then also build with green building technologies which actually are good for our planet, where we integrate permaculture in the landscaping, in the infrastructure, where we support culture, where we put healthcare in with a high priority, where education is a massive focus, with higher education bringing into the market, with state-of-the-art infrastructure, with being a hub for innovation. All of these things coming together in this still small development. It makes it so amazing, and I think that the most important part about it is really, and that we try to honor that also during our 10-year celebration. We gave an award, a Fumba Futures Award, to all the kids living here. We have so many kids already living in Fumba, and really providing them a safe place where they can grow up, where they can evolve, and where they can be part of shaping this very bright future for Africa. That is, I think, what is in the end the sense of why we're all here and why we're doing that. It's for this next generation, and if they teach us a lot every day of what is actually important in life, right? And we're trying to do some wrongs which the humanity did in the past, try to do them right here. Not everything yet, I said, but we're trying out a lot to make it better for a better future, and that is why we're here.
Thank you for that, Tobias. That was well said. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We need to do this for the future generation, do things right, and we'll have a better future, or rather, even our kids will have a better future. But you did talk about different unit types that's range from as low as around 40,000 to up to $1 million. And with that being said, I have been authorized to share something very interesting to the people who are online that are not yet part of our community. I've seen a few people who are already part of the Fumba community. They're expecting their handovers later this year, early next year. But for those that have yet to join us, I have something that might be of benefit in terms of purchasing with us. So right now, we have, well, not right now, but from the 1st of October till the 30th, we will have a 10% discount. I hope you can see that on my screen. I hope it's not showing. Give me a second. Okay.
Are you sure you're allowed to share this? That's what maybe why it doesn't show.
No. I've been authorized to share this. Let me try it one more time. Okay. I will do that instead. Can we see this now? I hope my screen is showing. Yes. So celebrating 10 years of building community, we are going to have a 10% discount from the 1st of October till the 30th of October. We're calling it the Nyerere month October discount. And that will be 10% on the first installment paid. I repeat, 10% on first installment paid between the 1st till the 30th of October. And we're hoping this small token of encouragement would allow you guys to be part of our community. We really want to have more people, like-minded individuals coming in with their families, with their businesses, and just helping the town grow and flourish. And with that being said, please take advantage of the discount starting next month and reach out to your individual sales agents and consultants so that you can lock this in before the end of the month. And if you reserve from today, I've been told that the discount would also apply. So there's a little good gesture. So reach out to your agents. But I know it's been an hour, 36 minutes. It's one of our longest webinars. I appreciate everyone who has been on board, watching, listening, asking all of these questions. To the panelists, I thank you all so much for your time. As Tobias said, it's a Friday night and we're here. It's because we're passionate about it. I can see the passion in all of you guys' eyes, in your smiles, and the way you speak. So for that, thank you very much. And just to let everyone know, this session has been recorded. It will be available through our YouTube channel. I will also add links to the various presentations, to Curtis's article, and to some email addresses of general email addresses, for example, for TOC, for Urban Care, because there were additional questions, but we can't address everything right now, but you can definitely reach out to us and we will be able to answer those questions for you guys. Is there anyone burning to say anything else?
Just thank you to all of you. Have a good weekend and see you soon in Fumba Town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye, Franco. Bye, Curtis. See you.
Bye.